Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Jen Hale, here with Skip Bayless. We got Shannon Sharp joining us from Denver. Hi there, gentlemen.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Skip. How you doing today?
So tell the people why you were in Denver, Colorado.
Well, Skip, I'm out here to for the homegoing service. Mr. B, Pat Bowler, the owner of the Denver Broncos, passed away about a week ago, and so they asked, the family reached out to me and asked would I be able to attend the special services that's going to be held here today at around 2 o'clock, and I was more than honored to be able to pay my respects to a man that's done so much for me.
And I was willing to give you up for kind of half a day, because you're kind of there for half a day, right?
I'm here for half a day,
Yep.
Skip, and I appreciate that. So you should be glad. I only get to beat you down for an hour and a half.
Really?
You should feel proud.
Oh, okay.
Not the 2.5 hours you normally get pummeled.
Well, let's see how that goes starting right now.
Yes, thoughts and prayers are with the Bolin family. What a legacy. Let's turn now to the NBA and the impending free agency. Yahoo's Chris Haynes reports Kawhi Leonard will decline his player option and instead become an unrestricted free agent. Kawhi is reportedly considering re-signing with the Raptors, though. Rival execs think Toronto is the favorite to keep the claw, but don't count out the Clippers. Take a look. 2 billboards, not put up by the team, FYI, popped up about 10 miles from Staples Center this weekend, urging Kawhi to join the Clippers. Not so subtle sign. Shannon, do you believe Toronto is still the favorite to keep Kawhi as of now?
Skip, you remember last week we had this very same discussion, and I said I believe it was 60-40 that the Raptors had the inside track to sign Kawhi for the simple fact, you know, Skip, we hear a lot of these players says, you know, I want to go somewhere where I can compete for a title. Well, hell, Kawhi doesn't have to compete. He won the title with this very team. Everyone comes back. Everyone is under contract with the exception of Denny Green. We all believe that Marc Gasol will pick up his player option and stay at least one more year. If Kawhi wanted to, he could do a 1-1, stay 1 year with a player option for a second year. He could do a 2-1. Then, Skip, if once he becomes a 10-year vet, he is entitled to 35% of whatever the cap is. So for me, knowing what he's been able to establish in Toronto, the trust that he's been able to build between the organization, the training staff, and the players, I think the known versus the unknown of going to the Clippers. Now, we all understand what Jerry West represents. He's as good as it gets as far as building a team into championship caliber. But the Toronto Raptors have something that the Clippers do not have. They have a year head start of working on Kawhi, giving Kawhi what he wants. Because this is what we know. Kawhi, you don't want to play back-to-back? No problem. If you need, another 10, 15, 20 games, load management, no problem. I think it's reported, Skip. It's not reported, it's fact. He missed 73 games in San Antonio his last year. He missed another 22. So in the previous 2 years, the past 2 years, he's missed 95 total games. Now, I don't believe he'll miss half that many games coming the next 2 years, but there's a very good chance he's going to miss moving forward probably somewhere between 10 and 20 games a season because of load management. The Raptors understand that. They have enough trust in Kawhi. He's built up enough respect with the organization, with the training staff, when he goes to them and says, I'm not feeling it tonight. I don't feel 100%. They're going to say, no problem. They're not going to look at him with a side eye. They're not going to, as you said, put him on the hot seat, have the play. Are you with us, Kawhi, or are you against us? Kawhi's built up something very, very good in Toronto. For me, I believe it was 60-40 last week. It might be trending towards 70-30. Who knows, maybe even 75-25. And Skip, he signed that big old deal. The same company that gave Drake that big 767, that jumbo business Boeing jet, they just signed Kawhi. I don't know why you would sign a guy a long-term deal in a different country if he ain't gonna be in that country.
So, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
So, I want to get this straight because I just heard a Hall of Fame Denver Bronco applauding this man for load management, applauding this man for being babied for months on end in San Antonio and in Toronto, 73 and 22 games that he missed because both teams just kept saying, here, more, you need more games? Here, take more games off. You can't play back-to-back? Here. So a guy I'm looking at right now through this big-headed monitor that I have to stare at with your big head in it. This guy who's in the Hall of Fame, who's in Denver today for all the right reasons because he played for a great owner and he gave it all. He gave up body and soul for the Broncos, right?
Yes.
You played hurt probably
yes.
just like every game you played with some kind of injury somehow. You got this injection for that and this injection for that, and half of it you just had to say, I'm going to tough it out today. So now we're applauding this man, and this man you kept giving the excuse all through the conference finals and into the NBA finals saying, he's hurt. It's a big concern for the Raptors because he's hurt. And I kept saying, how? Why? What's hurt? Well, he's still got that thigh thing going. I don't know what it is because the Spurs couldn't figure out what it was, but he still had it going this year in Toronto, which led to, quote unquote, overcompensation, which led to left knee. It went from right quad to left knee. Something, tendonitis. I don't know what it was. Tendinosis of his knee. He probably has a new condition that he invented. But the point is, you kept telling me how big a deal his injury was going into the finals, and now it's not even a narrative as he comes into free agency as the primo domino. He's number one. Where he falls, everybody else is going to fall after number two. So help me out here. Why is his injury condition not a factor here? Because obviously he's now the toast of New York and the toast of L.A. Both New York teams want him, both L.A. teams want him, but nobody's talking about he's perpetually hurt. Usually that would be the narrative for any other player we ever discuss on this show, right?
No, that would probably be the narrative in any other sport, but not in basketball because we see teams lining up to give Kevin Durant, who has a ruptured Achilles, a max deal. We see teams lining up to offer Klay Thompson, who has a torn ACL, a max deal. So what we're starting to see, Skip, in basketball, when you have one of these players that can swing the pendulum of power, and that's what Kawhi Leonard can do, and that's what he did for the Toronto Raptors, you're willing to forego that. Yeah, he had some injuries. Yeah, he missed 73 games in 2018. Yes, he missed another 22 games in 2018, 2019 for load management. We get all of that. Because he's a top three player. He's one of these players that you can build your franchise around, and you have an opportunity to compete for the very not only now, but for the very near future for titles. So they're willing to forego that because we see two of the top 5 free agents have catastrophic injuries, and teams are lining up to offer them max contracts. So at least Kawhi Leonard says, yes, I had some injuries. I had tendonitis from overcompensating in my right leg, my right quad. But I'm healthy. I finished the season standing, and I won a title. Skip, he's one of the de facto dominoes. He and KD are the two biggest fish that are out there, and everybody's going to line up to sign those guys, even though one guy is not going to play all of next year, and the other guy missed 95 games over the previous 2 seasons.
Okay, but the big difference between number 2 and KD and Klay is that even though KD has had some injury history of having bad injuries that kept him out, neither KD nor Klay has ever asked for load management. They've never had nicks and knacks, just where, they just need a little time off, especially Klay Thompson. I mean, you're betting on the ultimate warrior here, and I'm talking about lowercase w in warrior. And so nobody has any qualm about giving Klay a max because he's going to play his tail off for you. He's going to play with minor injuries. So will KD. He can't play with major injuries, obviously, in his past, but neither has a history of load management issues. So now let me just step back from this and put it in perspective for everyone. This guy, number 2, has become the luckiest player to me in the history of the NBA because not only did he hit the luckiest shot in the history of the playoffs to beat a Philly team in Game 7 at the buzzer that wouldn't have gotten to the buzzer if Embiid had not been